Hello and welcome to this video about my Minecraft computer, which I call Crossroads. It is the second computer that I've made so far. It's significantly better than the first one, but it's still not perfect. Here you can see the sort of 3 or 4 main components. We've got memory over here, like RAM, the ALU, the bit that does all the maths, and then the sort of program counter control circuit area here. Each colour of concrete has a very specific meaning. So light blue are buses, yellow are enable lines, green is RAM or memory, red is sort of miscellaneous lines, purple is logic circuits, so there's half adders and gates around here, pink is control lines, which I've classed slightly differently to enable lines, and then cyan are clock lines. So if we talk about the different components here, we've got ALU. The ALU has a few different operations it can do. It can add 2 numbers, it can do a logical AND, a logical OR, and a logical NOT. There's no bit shifting implemented, which I was going to but I never got around to doing. It has a 4-bit accumulator. The whole system is sort of 4-bit, sort of 8-bit. It's a bit weird. I built it wrong. The RAM over here is built using a system of D flip-flops. So each of these rows is a single D flip-flop with an enable line for the top 4 bits for one of the commands. Each address can store 8 different bits of information. The high 4 are the instructions, the low 4 are the data for that instruction. And there are 15 bytes of RAM. It's not very powerful, but it works. And then the program counter over here has an integrated increment circuit to increment to the next address, and this area here switches it for a jump statement, jump instruction. And then there's the clock down here, which is quite simple. Very slow, but that's because of limitations in the memory. So, to do a quick demonstration, this is the guide, and it has all of the possible instructions. There's only 7 that I've implemented, but I'm hoping to increase this at a later date. So, let's make a very simple program. We'll just make the accumulator constantly count up. So, I've written the program out here. We look LDA 0 loads 0 into the accumulator, add 1 to the accumulator, and then jump 2 jumps to the second line of the program. So you've got the first line, second line, third line, and so on. So this is the binary that we need to put in to actually write that. So go to here, we put in 1 for the write, which writes to address 1, and then we want 0101 000, so 0101 000, and then we write that in. That should have written. Try that again. Okay. Then the next instruction is 0001 001, which is add 1. Go to memory address 2, 0001 001, and write that in. And then the third instruction is 0110 0010. So third 0110 10. Okay. The next step is to, usually it would be to reset the program counter, but it's already set back to 1. To do that, I would destroy any lit lines and then set the program counter, and then pull the new lines back again. So now this is in theory completely set up. So yeah, as you can see, the first instruction 01010000 is already loaded in. So now we can simply activate. So first, whoops, oh dear, new things happened. Just rebuild that. Okay, so it's fine to reset right now. So let's try this again. Turn it off. So first, it will perform the instruction, which loads in 0 this time, and then it will increment the instruction, increment the memory address, which changes it to add 1. So when it goes around again, it adds 1, which makes 1 this time, because 0 add 1 is 1. It will then change to the jump to, which will modify the program counter to be 2, which it does. Then the instruction is an add 1 again. So then it should become 2. There you go. And then increment the address. And it goes back to being jump to 2. Which we should see happen now. Yeah. And then again there's the add 1, which should be coming in momentarily. Yeah. It's quite a simple program, but I haven't implemented too many commands, so it's about the best I can do. Different commands are add, which adds the data in the instruction to the accumulator, and, which does a logical AND with the accumulator and the data, or not, LDA, which loads the data into the accumulator, jump, which sets the program counter to the data, and then STA, which writes the accumulator to the lower half of the address specified by data. So if data was 0010 and the accumulator was 0011, then it would write 0011 into memory address 0010 into the data area, that is, not the instruction. Which is a slight pain to write complex programs with, but it's about the best I can do with how I've set up memory. There are several issues with it, the first being size of the memory. Each one of these is 1 byte, and they have to be put out linearly, which makes lots of memory very large, almost unusably large sometimes. I've got to have all of these read and write lines going out, which is quite an issue because the delays in all of these repeaters causes long delays when accessing high memory areas. I can replace some of these with 0-tick repeaters, but I neglected to when designing this, so I've had to continue using standard repeaters. But in the next version I should be able to use 0-tick repeaters, speeding up the whole system quite massively. Another issue is this aforementioned memory map, with the high bits being instructions and low bits being data. That makes things like just storing large amounts of data pretty much impossible. But it is possible using some clever management by doing a sort of LDA number and then jump back to somewhere. And then the STA can modify this jump command, sort of like a ret in standard coding, but it's still quite annoying to do. And another issue is this clock speed, which has had to be slowed down quite significantly because of the high delay in accessing higher memory addresses. So that's pretty much all there is about this. I'll put a world download down in the description, and I'll hopefully be working on a new version in the months to come.